Now, the number of people having a baby using a surrogate in England and Wales has almost quadrupled in the last 10 years.
Applications for court orders which transfer legal parentage from the surrogate to the intended parents increased from 117 back in 2011 to 413 in 2020.
The research from the University of Kent and a surrogacy matching agency also found that most applicants were mixed-sex couples. Breakfast's Jane McCubbin reports.
Let me introduce three families.
My name's Natalie, I'm 34 and a first-time surrogate.
Each with their own journey into surrogacy.
Hi, I'm Karina Deman. I'm 41 years old and I'm a mum of 4 beautiful children, each born through surrogacy following a breast cancer diagnosis.
Each have given or received perhaps the greatest gift there could ever be.
This is Fran. Fran is mum to Grace.
And this is Gina. And Gina was Grace's tummy mummy.
The gift of a brand new life. Or 3. Karina's journey might have begun with a near-fatal health condition, but it's brought her joyfully right here.
We are the demands.
We are the demands.
Good girl. So Ina was my very first surrogate who gave birth to my daughter Amala, and Laura was my second surrogate who gave birth to the triplets for me. And you know, those women transformed my life. They made me a mum. They gave me something that many medics told me would never be possible. And, you know, they made my dreams come true. And for them, I'm forever grateful.
Are you okay?
They are a small part of a growing number of surrogate children. A report shown exclusively to the BBC shows the number of parents having a baby using a surrogate in England and Wales has almost quadrupled in the last 10 years.
Arnav!
From 117 in 2011 to over 400 last year.
Oh, no. A tick piggy.
For Karina and also for Francis, finding a surrogate was life-changing.
When you're given the cancer diagnosis, your whole life just changes in a second, and it's like you just fall into this hole. And then when Evelyn was born, who was the first one, it felt like for the first time since that diagnosis, this weight had been lifted.
There was no handing over, it was just all 4 of us being in the room, part of a wonderful birth. And I just watched a family being created literally in front of my eyes. Almost felt like I was encroaching on their moment of the beginning of their family. It was beautiful.
Gina and the girls saved my life.
But almost 40 years ago, surrogacy was viewed with suspicion. Months after Britain's first surrogate baby was born, so too were the very first surrogacy laws. Today, those laws are under review. Only altruistic surrogacy is allowed here. Surrogates can't advertise and they can't charge a fee, only expenses. Karina paid around £75,000 in expenses for her family.
Because there isn't an actual legal framework within that surrogacy operates within, there's a heck of a lot of trust that's needed. And the classic thing is people always say, what if she keeps your baby? But one thing that Ina said to me, and it really opened my eyes with regards to the law and the way it stands, she said, my biggest fear is what if you don't take your baby? Because legally I'm that child's mum. So there are 2 sides to every coin here.
The end of Natalie's surrogacy journey is now weeks away. She and husband Jack already have 2 children, but her surrogacy dream was born out of the heartbreak of having a stillborn daughter.
I always try and take positives from any situation. Planning to bring my own home and not doing that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But to have somebody else's baby that isn't genetically linked to me at all, for them to worship and love and, you know, cherish is a positive thing that's come out of a very negative, dark period.
This was the embryo, these were the tests. And this, well, this is the very moment she broke the news to her intended parents, Andy and Gareth.
I'm excited. I can't wait. The best part about being pregnant is not the stressing. I don't have to worry about what I haven't got or what I need to get or what, all these things. I honestly cannot wait to see their faces. I have said if they don't cry, I might punch them.
It was a concern for me that at the end of the process, how Nat would feel handing the baby over. But now meeting the guys and getting to know them, no, that's not a concern for me at all, because like Nat said, we get to sort of share in the joy that they get.
All of these families agree current laws need reform, but all agree there is no greater gift than parenthood.
Parenthood to me means
The ability to nurture, create and grow your child in any way, shape or form.
Unconditional love from the moment they're in your arms.
I wasn't able to do the first 9 months of their life, but I'll be here for the rest of their lives.
Mommy!
As long as you love, then that's all you need, really.
Well, we are joined on the sofa now by Michael Johnson-Ellis from My Surrogacy Journey, one of the groups behind the research, and Laura McCarthy, who's been a surrogate for 5 children, is it now?
Yeah, 5
Good
now.
morning.
Morning to both of you.
Morning.
Now, Michael, obviously you realised that there was an issue here and you wanted to do something about it. Tell me about what made you do that and your family.
So me and my husband have 2 children together. We've got a little girl named Tallulah and a little boy named Duke. And having our family, wasn't a straightforward process. So what we wanted to do was to help support more people that were on a journey to parenthood through surrogacy, that needed and wanted support to help them understand their options, navigate the law, meet with incredible surrogates that can do that. So, yeah, we submitted the Freedom of Information behind the data with the University of Kent to discuss what we're here to do today.
And how did you find your surrogate, who's Caroline, who gave birth to both your children?
She did, yes. So we met Caroline online back in 2014, 2015. The non-profit organisations weren't accepting new intended parents. So we had to go down an independent route for surrogacy, which is unsupported, but a huge community. So with a lot of research and looking into all of those different communities, we ended up meeting Caroline, and she carried both of our children for us.
Laura, I am in awe of you. You have been a surrogate how many times?
So 4 times, 5 babies, because the last ones were twins.
The last ones were twins.
Yeah.
And you got 4 of your own kids as well.
Yeah, 4 of my own.
Yeah. You obviously love being pregnant and feel okay.
Yeah, honestly, it's like it never happened. I think obviously if pregnancy was something that I struggled with, then maybe it'd be something that I'd have to think about a little bit more. But yeah, whilst my body copes well.
Why did you do it the first time?
So the first time, so as cheesy as it sounds, sort of like, I'd look at my own children on an evening, like whilst they're asleep, and that it literally makes your heart melt. And I just thought that unconditional love that I had for them, I thought, wow, like if I have the ability to be able to give that to somebody else, then why not? So yeah, that's.
And you had twins in April.
End of April this year.
And are you still in sort of good contact with all those? So 4 families, 5 children. Are you still in contact with
3 families.
3
so, yes,
oh, right.
yeah, 2 were siblings.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So are you still in contact with all those families?
Yes, I am. Yeah, so we meet up a couple of times a year, just for a catch up. And the ones that are old enough to understand now know that they grew in my tummy, but understand sort of basic biology in terms of knowing that they are biologically their parents' children, and no biological link to myself.
And
So-
Michael, obviously, talking to this, you can see how the reaction that how you can change people's lives by surrogacy.
For sure, and surrogates are incredible.
Yes.
Absolutely unbelievable what they do, and it's great that we're able to speak really positively about how amazing UK surrogacy is and the impact that it has on so many people. Whether you're starting your family or whether you're completing it, women like you are just amazing.
But you didn't always have it. Your journey was not easy, was it?
No.
What were the difficulties that you faced?
We had many challenges. I think it was challenging being 2 men having children, and then when you were discharged into the NHS, there was a lot of inequalities with how our care was going to be managed and how we could be present at the birth of our children or whether we couldn't. So we had to unfortunately challenge that to pay a different way.
How do your own family feel about it, Laura? How do your own children feel about what you're doing?
My own children, I mean, so the eldest 3 understand it really, really well. My youngest is only 2, you see. Okay. And they are so supportive. And it's amazing, like my children even going to school and talk to people about it at school, tell their friends and their teachers. And I just think how amazing that even as children, they're raising positive awareness around surrogacy, that this is an option for people to have their families that way.
Judging by the smart... Sorry, Sam.
I was going to say, when you look at the numbers, you were involved in collecting all this data. When you look at the numbers, were you surprised at the data you got back? Because the numbers are staggering, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're rising steadily, and that's what's great to see. I think what's really wonderful to see is that we should be talking about surrogacy as a form of fertility treatment, as not as a shock factor of way to build a family. And that's what's lovely to see, that these statistics are growing nicely, growing safely, and that for us is what's really important.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think it's being seen as another option for people? We talked, didn't we, in the introduction about how those figures have gone up in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of factors. We've seen the law reform and the law commissioners start talking about the reform for surrogacy, which has raised more awareness. There was same-sex marriage, which enabled same-sex people to then apply for the parental order.
And actually, would you say that the majority of those new applications have actually been for mixed couples, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And then in 2019, the law changed again, or the regulation, to allow single people to apply for a parental order. So more and more, the law reform has certainly helped raise more awareness about what surrogacy is rather than what surrogacy isn't. And it's important that we tell that story.
OK, Laura, I bet you can guess what I'm going to ask you now. Are you going to do it again?
Definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. I'm matched with a single intended parent now this time. Wow. Like Mike just said, obviously with the change in the law, absolutely fantastic that single people can apply for a parental order now. So yeah, that's the next one.
You don't have to go into the deep biology of all this. So how does that then, timing wise, what does that? How does that work out once you've been matched?
Yeah, so it's individual to everybody, really.
Okay.
It's nice to have a decent length of time getting to know each other. Yeah. Ultimately, it's quite a big thing that you're going to be going through together. So it's important that you have formed that friendship, that you do have that trust for with each other, and that respect for each other, really. I'm
glad you looked at me quite confused there. It's 9 months, Dan. Surely you know that. You've got 3 kids of your own. Yeah. I'm aware of that time.
We might have a really awkward breakfast conversation there, Dan.
I understand that. Thank you so much to both of you for coming in. It's really good to talk to you this morning. Yeah, and all the best with the next one.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Michael, say hello to your kids from us as well.
Thank you.
Learn a lot on breakfast,
yeah,
don't we?
You do. Yeah.
Every day.